All right, we will, microphone's on. Call to order the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting on Monday, May 10th, 2021. First order of business is approval of the minutes from the April 12th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Fuller, second by Mr. Smith. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. That is so much easier than his. All right. Do we have Ed on remote?
No, he's on vacation, so you can get you and I.
Okay, perfect. Any special requests or continuances? I'll take a motion for findings of fact for BCA 2021-006 to take final action.
Mr. Chairman, in consideration of the statutory criteria, I move that we adopt the written findings of fact as presented, incorporating the evidence submitted into record as our final decision and final action for variance petition number B 2021-006.
Just a quick clarification, we do use the BCA nomenclature now instead of the B, so it's BCA 2021.
Gotcha, sorry.
Not sure if that's super important, but I have a motion.
Second.
Second by Ms. Peters. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. We have no old business. Any old business from the floor? Assuming none or seeing none, we'll move on to new business, which is docket BZA 2021-007, a dimensional variance request by the Garrett Companies at Emerson Point. Who's representing the Garrett Companies?
Jennifer Lewis with the Garrett Companies.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. I'm going to have our secretary swear you in. Steve, if you could raise your right hand and take the oath from Stevie.
Do you swear under penalties for perjury the testimony you're about to give is true to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
All right. Ms. Lewis, tell us why you're here.
Okay. Let me share my screen. I'm representing the Garrett Companies for Garrett at Emerson Point, docket BZA 2021 this evening. The Garrett Companies was founded by Eric Garrett. We're a national multifamily development firm that has a development arm, a construction arm, and property management arm.
And you're seeking two different variances?
Yes, I'm seeking a variance for a reduction in front yard setback and a reduction of side yard setback. It is pertaining to Article 25, Section 10-02-27 in the Interstate Commerce District. The front yard setback currently in that district is 60 feet. We're asking for a reduction to 30 feet. And the side yard setback in the IC district is currently set at 20 feet, and we're asking for a reduction to 10 feet. The proximity of this parcel to the airport, more specifically the airport runway, creates a unique development hardship for this site. The site runs parallel to the runway of the airport, and the runway limits the building area of the site. Because of the proximity to the airport, we have to push all of our buildings, which there are 3 of them in total, to the east. And due to the height restrictions, that puts all of our parking to the back side of the development. The airport height restrictions are measured from the center line of the runway 510 feet over to the site, which is where the red line appears on the screen. And you can see the parking.
Whatever you're trying to share is not coming up for us, but
Still not?
we
Okay.
have it, I think, in our packet. I'm assuming if it's the same picture that was included in our packet. Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Now we have it.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Go
And-
back to, can you
I'm
see it now?
sorry.
Sorry.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
This is Gabe speaking. I have pulled it up on my screen, so you may have to direct me through the slides.
Okay. Let me get to. So if you want to go to the third slide, Gabe, that'll show the location of the site in question. The site is located, like I mentioned before, we're to the south of County Line Road, and we lie to, the airport lies to the west of us, and Emerson Avenue lies to the east of us. We're surrounded by retail, restaurants, as well as several other employers. If you want to go to slide 5. Slide 5 shows the proposed development, which is comprised of 218 multifamily units spread across 3 buildings with tuck-under garages as well as detached structures. There's a detached garage structure up here to the north, closest to the retail center. Then there's also one kind of in the center area, as well as one to the south. This particular, like I mentioned before, we're seeking a front yard setback reduction from 60 feet to 30 feet and a side yard setback reduction from 20 feet to 10 feet. And because of our proximity to the airport runway, which is to the left of our site, the center line over to the dashed line that appears on this particular slide. If you want to go to the next slide, Gabe. The red line is 510 feet from the center line of the runway to the area in question. The area that is highlighted in the violet color is the non-restricted area, which because of our proximity to the runway, we have height restrictions that we have to adhere to. That's why all of our buildings are pulled to the east and the parking lies to the west. The reduction in the front yard setback allows for the design and development of a multifamily complex that's complementary to the surrounding areas and the retail center. It will enhance the surrounding areas while creating existing retail tenants with more foot traffic and residences for the employers that surround it. It'll also increase the property values of the site that has gone undeveloped for many years. The approval will not be injurious to the health, public health, safety, morals, or general welfare of the community.
So Ms. Lewis, I appreciate that. Before we go any further, I'd like to get some clarification from our attorney. So
Okay.
Sergey, we need, so Ms. Lewis, we need to treat both requests as individual requests that we would vote on, and typically we would read the statutory criteria, sorry, separately, but I noticed in your petition that they are identical reasoning. So Sergey, am I okay to have her go through these once for both of them, even though we will vote on them separately?
Yes, you can, as long as we indicate in the record that the statement of reasons is the same due to the nature of request, then there's no reason to read it twice since they are identical.
So Ms. Lewis, would you agree that the statement of reasons are identical for both petitions?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so with that, you just told us the statutory criteria number 1, that the approval would not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. So let's go on to number 2, which is the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because.
Okay, again, this particular undeveloped parcel is part of the Emerson Point plat, which Emerson Point lies directly to the north of the site with the retail center as part of that. The complex will bring more residents, foot traffic to the area while enhancing the overall property values of the area. The development of the parcel into a multifamily complex will have no adverse effects to the area, and the use and value of the area adjacent would only be enhanced by granting these variances and would allow for development of a site that has, again, gone undeveloped for many years.
Okay, and number 3, the strict application of the terms of the Unified Development Ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property because.
The practical difficulty lies in the fact that the site's location and proximity, as I've mentioned before, to the airport and specifically the runway creates a unique hardship from a development standpoint due to the building height restrictions that are imposed. The runway limits the building area of the site while imposing height restrictions on the overall site. Pending the final topographical data, we anticipate the height restrictions to extend 510 feet, which is where this red line appears on the site plan, just on the other side of the shaded violet area onto the property. It reduces the parcel that is in total slightly over 8.5 acres to roughly 4 acres of area. The non-restricted area is seen in the violet shaded area on the screen.
Okay, and I'll handle the next one, which is the structure is regulated under Indiana Code 8-21-10-3. You're working, and then you are working with the FAA and NDOT on the above applications, and you acknowledge this approval will be conditional on securing those approvals. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. And we must receive a copy of the determination of no hazard to air navigation issued by the Federal Aviation Administration or approval issued by the Indiana Department of Transportation and the Greenwood Board of Aviation Commissioners must be delivered notice in accordance with the Indiana Code 8-21-10-3, not less than 60 days before the proposal is considered if the proposed improvement is regulated, which it is. Are you aware of the staff recommendations, conditions?
Yes, we are.
And just for the record, those are that they recommend 1, either a plat covenant or a commitment document shall be executed and recorded by the property owner stating that the adjacent municipal airport existed and operated prior to the development of the subject property for multifamily residential use, and therefore both owner and tenants forfeit the right to remonstrate on grounds of noise created by aircraft or airport operations. Precise wording of the covenant or commitment shall be subject to review and approval by the city attorney. And then number 2, necessary approvals from the FAA and NDOT shall be required prior to issuance of building permits.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, do you have any other information you'd like to provide us before I ask if anyone else wants to present?
I just think it's important to note that we do have the owner's approval to seek these variances as well as staff support.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this? If not, any remonstrators? All right, seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and open it up to the board for questions. Mr. Smith, I'll start with you.
Okay, on this is just kind of a general note that maybe Sergey can help me out with here. The condition number 1 that the staff recommended, how enforceable is this? My concern here is that if we say, hey, they can't remonstrate, say they want to expand, just like we did not too long ago, bring in the Indiana State Police, expand the operations of the airport, how is it enforceable for us to say that they can't come and remonstrate that based on the noise from the airport?
It's very, very much enforceable. In fact, we include those kind of commitments around the developments all around the airport and very different in nature. I'll give you an example of the one we did about the preservation of certain wetlands that attract certain fowl that was detrimental to the, or has a potential to be detrimental to the operation of the airport. And we were able to enforce it quite successfully as long as the commitments are clearly stated in your approval. And I believe here they are. So would there be people potentially remonstrating against the noise? I don't know that, but will be able to successfully defend the city, if you will, against that? Absolutely.
Okay, and Ms. Lewis, you are in agreement that your tenants will not show up to remonstrate something in that situation? Ms. Lewis.
Ms. Lewis, did
I'm
you?
sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, sure. So you agree basically on this condition, it's saying that none of the tenants of the buildings will come to remonstrate any noise from the airport as far as new development may go there. That's something you guys could agree to?
Yes, that's up to us to manage as the developer.
And Mr. Smith, usually from my experience, I'm not saying it's going to be done this way in this particular scenario, but from my experience, usually that is included in the lease or a purchase agreement if it's a purchase of a condo or an apartment. But usually, and also on top of that, there's usually an inherent understanding that residential developments around the airports will experience a higher level of noise versus neighborhoods that are a little further away from the airport.
Fair enough. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Ms. Peters?
No questions.
Mr. Polar?
No question.
Mr. Foster?
No questions.
I have no questions myself either, so with that, are all the notices in order?
Yes.
Okay, I will take a motion to accept them into the record.
I move that we admit all the evidence presented in regard to this matter, including the notices, receipts, maps, photographs, written documents, petitioner's application and attachments, petitioner's detailed statement of reasons, the staff report prepared by the planning department, certified copies of the zoning ordinance and comprehensive plan, testimony of the petitioner, city planning staff, and any remonstrators, and all other exhibits presented, be they oral or written, for consideration by this board in regard to this petition, and to include the testimony of those present this evening.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Peters, second by Mr. Smith. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. I will take a motion on the ballot, on the first request to reduce the front yard setback from 60 to 30 feet.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the front yard setback from 60 to 30 feet be approved.
Second.
With the conditions in the staff report?
With the
Yes.
conditions in the staff report, correct.
Right. So motion by Mr. Polar, second by Ms. Peters. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. And now the request number 2, a developmental variance to reduce the north side yard setback from 20 feet to 10 feet.
Move to approve with the staff recommendations as conditions.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Foster, second by Mr. Smith. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. I will take a motion to adopt the written findings of fact.
Chairman, having considered the statutory criteria, I move that we direct the Corporation Counsel's Office to draft written findings of fact regarding our decision on the variance request presented, the variance petition number BZA 2021-007, said findings to specifically incorporate the staff report and the evidence submitted into the record for consideration and adoption by the Board of Zoning Appeals as our final decision and final action regarding this petition at our next meeting.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Peters, second by Mr. Fuller. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. All right, thank you, Ms. Lewis. We will take our final action at our next meeting, but you are welcome to continue to proceed with the city and what you need to do.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, any new business from the floor? Seeing none, any announcements, Dale?
Actually, the item we had on the agenda for the 24th is gonna have to be continued because of noticing. So
Okay.
I don't believe, Dave, you don't have anything on the 24th?
Not from BZA.
So our next one would be the 14th of June.
Correct.
So do we need a motion to move the adoption to the 14th or?
You do, Ms.
Findings
President.
of
Okay.
fact.
Do we want to just move the motions of the adoption of findings of fact to the 14th? I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Fuller,
Second.
second by Mr. Smith. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. So we will adopt the written findings of fact on the 14th, Ms. Lewis, but again, you can proceed with the city to continue forward. Any announcements, Sergey?
Nothing from legal.
All right, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are adjourned for May 10th, 2021.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.